A food allergy diagnosis changes your life. It affects you, your family, your education, your career, your everything. That being said, as with all adversity in life, you have choices on how you can handle it. Some people choose to raise their hands, stand up, and get involved as advocates. They look food allergy right in the face and say, "I've got this." And they focus their energy on empowering others to feel the same way. These food allergy warriors range in age and background, but have one thing in common. They turned their food allergy story into action. Now I'm going to shine a light on them to inspire you to join the fight against food allergies. This is Take Action with Hillary Carter. Hi, and thanks for tuning in to Take Action. I'm Hillary Carter. I'm a food allergy mom, advocate, and proud member of FAIR's Board of Governors. And today I am thrilled to talk to Kianna Dorsey. She's a college student and a young adult living with food allergies, and she's working on a super cool project I cannot wait to share with you today. Kianna, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So I just feel like there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. So we're going to start at the beginning. Just introduce yourself a little bit. Tell me your journey. I know you have food allergies, but I don't know what they are. Just talk to me a little bit about you.
I'm Kianna. I'm a motion pictures major here at the University of Miami, and I have severe nut allergies. I'd say my food allergy journey kind of started since birth. I was born with nut allergies, and I had some other allergies that I grew out of, thankfully. And both of my parents were very involved and adamant about my food allergy and making sure that I knew how to take care of myself. I know that FAIR was a big resource and a big place where they could connect with other parents who also had kids with food allergies. So I would say that growing up, in hindsight, having a nut allergy definitely taught me a lot about responsibility, a lot about advocating for myself and speaking up and making sure that my safety was a priority. Whereas a lot of other kids my age weren't thinking about that kind of thing. They were just picking up whatever and putting it into their mouth. But along with that responsibility was also a feeling of not feeling like the other kids, because I couldn't just be reckless with how I ate and what I did. And then also that came with being excluded in a lot of like kid activities like classroom birthday parties, and even outside of school birthday parties, because no one wanted to deal with such a severe allergy that I had. So I would say that was kind of like my upbringing and my experience with nut allergies. It was definitely like a love-hate relationship, I'd say.
That sounds right. So I'm a food allergy mom. So I have two kids and they're 8 and 10. And I would say I sort of have a love-hate relationship with food allergies too, from the other side. Because it is kind of amazing how it teaches resilience and responsibility. And we're very hyper aware of what goes into our body. And a silver lining of that has been we're really focused on nutrition and we don't eat a bunch of junk and all that's great. But obviously the fear and the limitation and the exclusion that you touched on, that's so hard, even from a parent's perspective, to see that happen with your kids. What I love so much is that here you are participating in the community and advocating even at such a young age while you're in college. I was not thinking about, advocating when I was in college. So kudos to you. And I will say, you are a young adult, but even when you were growing up, it seems like food allergies weren't quite as prevalent. So in your experience, did you feel like the only kid in your class or in your school that had food allergies? How sort of common was it for you in your school experience?
Yeah, growing up, I thought I was the only person on planet Earth who could not eat nuts. And so I was constantly wondering what was wrong with me and why all my classmates got to eat these delicious cakes and put whatever in their mouth. And I was stuck with the afterthought snack of an apple or some celery sticks or something, just so I could feel included. And then, so that kind of put this point of outcast perspective in my head. And then also the fear of being an inconvenience when I would advocate for myself, because I knew it was like a fine line, like, oh, if I say that I can't do this or I can't have that or someone can't eat this sitting beside me, I'm losing an opportunity to make another friend or go to a play date or something like that. So even though I wasn't fully aware of what, feeling different, like I wasn't aware of the feeling I was going through, it definitely reaffirmed this feeling of being an outsider and being different, that I couldn't quite pinpoint as to why I was the only one who couldn't eat nuts.
So when along your growing up and your maturity, when did that all sort of come into play for you? When did it start to make sense as to why you felt that way? Was there a certain incident that happened, or was it just sort of growing up and figuring it out? I'd love to hear.
My relationship with food allergies changed from more of a, this is something I have to live with. It changed from a burden to a blessing in disguise. And I realized that it was a tool of education. And I feel like fifth grade was like the turning point from where it became burden to advocacy. I remember there was a food allergy like reaction scare in the cafeteria where a girl had ate pineapple not knowing that she was allergic to pineapple. And all of us being elementary school kids, we were really freaked out. The ambulance came, her face puffed up, like it was a big thing. And the nurse, I mean, looking back on it, maybe it wasn't the smartest way, but she kind of leaned on me to share my experience with food allergies and educate the grade of fifth graders as to what food allergies was and how severe and dangerous it is. And so I talked about my EpiPen, I talked about my medical alert bracelet, and I shared just my experience and the importance of being protected, like of protecting yourself and being courteous when other people say, oh, don't sit here or don't eat that near me because of my allergy. And everybody was very receptive and everybody understood the severity of it because we had just witnessed this traumatic event. And so that's what changed in my mind, where I was like, oh, wow, like I can really use my experience to educate others and make it so that other people don't treat people with the allergies or any allergy in general as if they're different. Like I can use my experience to make a change.
It's just amazing. I just want to say again, from a mom perspective, you're so impressive. And so kudos to your parents, kudos to you. Again, my kids are younger and I have this vision and hope that they will join me on this advocacy bandwagon that I'm on. So I love getting to speak to young adults and share these stories. And so it's just amazing that in fifth grade, here you are teaching everybody about food allergies. And obviously that's continuing. And you clearly have a gift for communications because here you are, you're in college. I believe you said motion picture major, focusing on storytelling, focusing on communication. So tell me a little bit about your journey at school and what you're working on and sort of what your goals are.
Making films and doing videos has always been a hobby of mine since a kid. Like everybody else was going to ballet practice or soccer, I was in my room making little webcam videos by myself. So I've always had a passion for like film and making stories and storytelling. And at the time, in high school and in middle school, Hollywood seemed like this big idea that was kind of unattainable and that I should start, recentering my focus and figure out what I'm going to do in college. And like making movies, that's just not realistic, like try something else. But my parents have always been very supportive and very vocal that whatever I set my mind to, I can accomplish. So here I am at the U majoring in motion pictures. And I feel like in my experience here, I've noticed the importance of representation in media and how that's my calling and how to weave in my life experience to advocate and continue that education and continue that fight, but through film and through stories. Because I feel like that's the best way to relate to people. So on campus, I've been involved in a lot of different orgs, a lot of different things. But the thing that really sticks out to me is the culture, which is this show that we have here on campus that's focused on the Black college experience. And I remember watching the show prior to getting to UM. And so once I was here, I really wanted to be on the show, be a part of it. And so now looking back to almost 2 years ago when I first auditioned to now being an executive producer, I've been able to see the importance of having a platform and how it's very necessary and needed for those who often go underrepresented.
That's amazing. And you know what's really cool? And again, not to like date myself, but I think it's great that there is social media and that just sort of all sort of media is more available now than it was. So I was a broadcast news major and I remember being like in an old building using archaic equipment, trying to put together a weekly news show. And that was really fun, but I'm like a little bit jealous of your experience now and the opportunities media wise. And so it sounds like such cool work and important work. And I love that your parents, told you the big dream is possible. Go get it. That's fantastic. And I hope anybody watching, younger kids, always go for the big dreams. Look at you, you're making it happen. And that's terrific. So what I really want to talk about is this short film that you're working on with FAIR. And I know that I think I have this right, but I know that you reached out to FAIR and sort of pitched this fantastic short film that you wrote. So I just want to hear all about it. I'm going to let you go and you just tell me whatever you want to tell me about this film because it's amazing.
Okay, I'll give you the whole story from the beginning. Set the scene. We're in the midst of a pandemic. You can't leave your house. So it was just me and my script writing software. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll write some scripts because what else am I gonna do? And the thing that I kept hearing is like, write what you know, write your experience. But I personally didn't think that my life was that interesting. I really didn't know what to write about. And so I was like, okay. And then I started thinking about food allergies. And I started almost getting angry looking at the portrayals of food allergies in movies and TV. It's often the punchline, the butt of the joke, or it's like villainized to where, they're using it as a weapon. And it's very inaccurate. And it really made me upset, especially like my main concern was little kids. And with movies that are targeted for young audiences, if this is how we're portraying food allergies, my lived experience and that feeling of being outcast, or even food allergy bullying is a very hot topic. That's just going to be recycled. So I was like, okay, Kianna, let's write a script about what you've gone through. So that's how Food Friendly was born. And I wrote a script about a little girl who, goes off to school and she learns the importance of her EpiPen and her medical alert bracelet. And every day when she goes into the cafeteria and it's like a kid's birthday party, she loves chocolate. She's ready for that nice chocolate piece of cake. And there's nuts in the cake time and time again. And she's stuck with like an afterthought snack, whether it be pretzels, apples, something not as good. And so that was like my inspiration for writing the film. And script writing, I have little to no experience in, I'm just a college student. So I just put it on paper, not really thinking of it. And then coming to school and being a part of the things that I've been a part of and being a part of other really motivated kids, I was like, okay, I really want to get this made. And I knew that I wanted it to be like an animated short film. I knew I wanted it to be appealing for young kids. And I just didn't know how to go about it because I have no experience in animation, let alone barely any experience in live action. And so I started thinking of ways I could actually get this done. And I immediately thought of FAIR and I was like, okay, they have a perfect audience that would love this kind of content. On a humble, let me just look around, shop around the website and see who I can get in touch with. And so I went to LinkedIn because that's where you meet everyone. And I think I contacted at least 4 or 5 people. I remember first I went through the contact us on the website. And then after a week or so of not hearing back, I was like, okay, I need to start finding specific people. And this is how I know that it was very intentional. And I feel like God had a plan for the story to get told because when I emailed or when I sent a LinkedIn message to both Jonathan and Mackenzie, I, for some reason, had premium. So I was able to like send my full pitch that I had wanted to say. Whereas if I didn't have premium, I was only limited to like 100 words and I wouldn't have been able to share everything I wanted to share. And within a couple of days, Jonathan got back to me and was willing to like sit down and hear my story and hear my pitch. And I was floored because I was like, oh, this is actually happening. Like this can happen even though I know nothing about animation. And so that's when I pitched him the Food Friendly pitch deck. I can share my screen and share it with you. So the summary, like I said before, I was very inspired by my own experience, but also by Matthew Cherry's Hair Love, and how it centered around a little Black girl and her loving herself and loving her hair. So it's like the same, but loving my food allergy and like, a coming of age story. And the goal of the film is to raise allergy awareness by educating young audiences about food allergies and acceptance. And so the spine of the story is that once upon a time, there was a little girl with severe nut allergies. Every day she sits alone at the nut-free table and she's isolated and she hates it. Until one day, a new girl named Zoe joins her and she too has a nut allergy. Because of that, Kirsten no longer feels alone, and together they become very good friends. And Zoe kind of like teaches her how to embrace her nut allergy, because Zoe's like very confident in who she is. And so until Kirsten embraces her nut allergy, and ever since then, Kirsten doesn't feel alone, and the two of them accept their allergy. And the moral of the story is to accept what makes you unique. So this is a beat sheet. I cannot draw, just a disclaimer. It was just like a play-by-play of what I envisioned, everything happening based off the script that I wrote. So in the beginning, it shows Kirsten learning how to sight read, which is something both my parents did, where they would write words on a flashcard. And even though I couldn't read at such a young age, I could recognize words that I would be allergic to when looking at a label. So that's what this scene is here. She's learning peanut and everything. And then in this scene, her mom gives her the medical alert bracelet, and that's like the importance of wearing this every day. Here, Kirsten is stuck with a pathetic green apple, as all the rest of her classmates are eating a chocolate cake. Here, the dad is, Kirsten's off to school, and the dad says, oh wait, don't forget your EpiPen. It's crucial that you have this every day. And then this scene is them at the playground, and Kirsten asks what she thinks are her friends, like, hey, do you guys want to sit with me at lunch today? To which they of course turn down, because they want to eat their nut snacks and their Reese's Pieces and everything like that. Also, the nut-free table just isn't cool, and it's by the bathrooms, like no one wants to sit there willingly. So this is her walking into the cafeteria, wondering where she's gonna sit, seeing everybody with their friends, and knowing she's gonna have to go to the back by herself. So this is Kirsten at the nut-free zone by the bathrooms. And every day her mom writes her a little note, have a blessed day, have a nice day. So that's like the mantra throughout to kind of keep her spirits up. And then this scene is actually pretty sad, where she continues to see potential friends who might sit with her, but then they end up passing by. So this scene, the guy walks up and he's just going to the restroom. This scene, she thinks it's another potential new friend, but she just ends up borrowing the chair. And then this scene, the teacher comes up and like, pats her on the head, make sure she's okay. And this kind of embarrasses Kirsten, because she sees the other students, sitting with their peers, and she's just hyper aware of what's going on. Then on the last day, everything changes, because Zoe comes and actually sits down instead of taking a chair or going to the bathroom. And so she offers Kirsten a chocolate chip muffin. But at this point, Kirsten's just pretty much really down. She knows the routine, and she explains how she has to read the label of the muffin, how she can't eat it. Zoe leans down and looks at the nut-free zone table to make sure she's in the right spot. And as she's leaning over, Kirsten notices her medical alert bracelet. And this like lights up her day, because she's never seen another kid wearing the same bracelet. So then they become really good friends, and it's just a montage of them riding bikes together, Zoe falling off, being clumsy. They also redecorate the sign nut-free zone. And like, this is a pinnacle part of the film, where it's like them embracing their nut allergy and making it their own by customizing it and making the sign cute and girly for their table. There's also a scene of Zoe and Kirsten making the chocolate chip nut-free muffins together. So that way Kirsten can, have a good tasting nut-free snack. And so then at the end of the film, it ends with, Kirsten celebrating her birthday party and everybody being included, because everything's allergy friendly. And she finally gets to have that chocolate chip muffin that she's been eyeing throughout the whole film, with of course pink frosting. And so the last scene is her blowing out the candle. So like, that's the whole thing of the film. The goals and impact was to submit to film festivals. I really want to go into the film festival circuit. I also really want to make a curriculum and have it in schools, to teach the young kids what food allergies are actually like, and to kind of remind them that, people with food allergies are people too, and they deserve to be included in all aspects of being a kid, and just to take it more seriously than it's been depicted in media up until this point. And so then I talked about my partnership with FAIR and how I really feel like it would be a mutual beneficial relationship. I then go down to break down the characters and my vision for them and how I see them looking like. So this is Kirsten, the main character. This is the mom. And then this is Zoe. And then this is the dad. And so I also talk about locations and the school and everything like that. And so then after I had pitched that to Jonathan and Mackenzie, they really fell in love with the story. They were super supportive. And I really walked in expecting, you know, the worst they can say is no. And I can always walk away with like better feedback. So I was really expecting notes, critiques, and best of luck, you know, good luck, like moving on. And so when they were actually very invested and that the story like struck a chord with them, it was kind of the reaffirmation that I needed, that this is the story that needs to be told. And so we immediately started talking about how we're going to do that. And Jonathan used his connections and his past work with Nickelodeon to contacting Titus and Mr. Sir Ivan Bennett. And with them, they have animation experience. So now we're really getting the ball rolling of like how to make this animated thing happen. And so that was, the whole thing was just really surreal. And how on a humble, by, you know, sending a message through LinkedIn, it's actually creating and getting, it's in the process of being made. So that was my whole experience. We've changed creative direction because when you Google, you know, little black girl cartoon, it all has that same Disney stylistic feel. And we didn't really want to fall into that mono, like that archetype of, you know, it looking like another Disney thing. So we changed character designs. So this is Kirsten, and this is Zoe. Um, and so I wanted Zoe to be Muslim because thinking about it, I've never seen or rarely seen a little Muslim girl depicted in film, especially in a cartoon. And even upon Googling for inspo, it was very hard to find a little Muslim girl, cartoon girl. So I just thought it was like a perfect opportunity to, you know, have diversity and give an opportunity for a little Muslim girl who has no allergies to see themselves on TV or see themselves on screen. Yeah, we changed the look of it, and now we're in the process of finalizing the animatic and getting ready.
So I'm just going to say that my mind is blown. It's amazing what you're doing. And I had, you know, obviously knew what you were working on and had gotten lots of sort of heads up from Farah, but to see you so eloquently present this whole project and see all the work that's gone into it and the thought process and the amazing storyline of hope and resilience, and then also be thinking about so many other things, like making sure it's culturally appropriate and that you're including everyone and you're looking at, you know, depicting things in different ways. And it's great. So congratulations. You've done an amazing job here. And I love the story. I have to say, it seems like I've heard such similar childhood experiences. So I know this is going to resonate with, I mean, there's only 32 million Americans with food allergies. I think most of them are going to want to see this, if not more, because I think of the kids who had to sit at the nut-free table, or the kids who felt like they were alone and excluded. I know my kids have certainly, you know, even to my best effort of having extra stuff at school, have sat there eating nothing while everybody else had a cupcake. Like, it's rough. And so this is going to touch so many people. And I love, love, love that you're thinking about schools and education. And as we all know, the world is just all video now. So this is such an amazing way to reach people. So I cannot wait to see the final project, the final film. And you should just feel really proud of yourself, I have to say. Yeah. And there's so many important lessons here, hoping to inspire other people to want to take action on their own in their own personal way by seeing these examples and these stories of people who've really taken this and turned it into a beautiful thing. And so there's so many lessons there that you shared that I want to like reiterate. One is that, you know, go for it. Everybody can be an advocate in their own special way. So whatever your talents are, whatever your gifts are, it doesn't matter if you know animation or if you have produced a film before. If that's your passion, go do it. And then also just not worrying about saying no, or people, like, that's something my mom used to always say to me, what's the worst could happen? They'll say no. That's not that big of a deal. And like you said, which is amazing, maybe you get some feedback, maybe you get some constructive criticism, maybe you learn from it. Everything is an experience. So many important nuggets there that I wanted just to like replay because it's brilliant. So congratulations. And I can't wait to see it. And I'm thrilled for you. And this is going to be important for everyone, including the unallergic, the non-allergic, who we always want to educate. So I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to see what else you do as you continue through your college experience. But that was just my 45 cents instead of 2 cents. But I want to know, let's talk about newly diagnosed families. I always like to give an opportunity for whoever I'm speaking with who's a rock star to share their tips or their thoughts. If there's anybody who's watching who's newly diagnosed, just finding FARE, just beginning this journey, what sort of thoughts or tips would you have for them, whether it's another, young adult or a child or their parents?
That's a tough one, considering I've lived with it my whole life. But I would say don't be scared of it. Embrace it. It's not the end of the world. There are plenty of people living with food allergies every day. And it's just an opportunity to it's definitely a challenge, but it's not impossible. So just be well educated on the material. Teach people around you in your sphere about how to use an EpiPen or AviQ or whichever you prefer, and kind of, emphasize the severity of your allergy if it is severe and the importance it is to be careful of that. And just find a hub, a community, because coming to college, almost I know at least 5 people who have an allergy. It's quite common. So just that whole thing of you're not alone. It's very normal and you can still live through it. Because I think about how prepared I was and how my parents made sure that I was prepared. So having that education took a lot of the anxiety and fear out of it because I knew what I was doing and I knew the limitations of my allergy because everybody's allergy is different. So I was confident when it came to voicing my opinion or, triple checking the label. And I would also say if you're newly diagnosed now, that's kind of the best situation than being newly diagnosed, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. I feel like the world is definitely adapting and changing to make sure that the education is there and that labels are clear because it didn't used to always be that way. And it was a scary time living with food allergies, when I was little and as a kid. So I'd say, now you're more prepared than ever.
It's so true. I, as a food allergy parent, so again, my kids are 10 and 8, they were diagnosed really young, like at 6 months old and 2 years. And even in our food allergy journey lifetime, so much has changed. And at this point, I do feel a lot of hope. I feel a lot of hope for them, for the community. I'm glad we're in this place and not 30, 40 years ago. So you speak a lot about education and really getting yourself armed with information. What are the resources that you and your family have really depended on? Do you have websites or social media accounts you follow? Anything you'd like to share with the audience that they might also be able to use as a resource?
I would say for me personally, my resource was my parents because they were constantly in my ear, making sure that I knew what was going on. But I do know that they visited FARE's website frequently to get their information. I'm sure my mom was in Facebook groups. I feel like now there's probably an abundant more amount of resources that people can go to, but that was our main thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. And are you on social media now? Because there is a huge food allergy community on social media. And I'm just wondering, it seems like it's mostly parents talking to each other. So is that something you're into or not really an interest quite yet?
I'm in one Facebook group. I'm not active and it is a lot of parents, but I feel like it is cool that FARE is expanding, with Teens Corner and stuff to make that network younger. Because I feel like it's definitely a different experience, me living with food allergies than a parent, raising someone with food allergies. So I feel like both respective communities are needed. But the young adult community or even college community, I've yet to see on social media yet. So hopefully, especially with the film, because we changed the score of the music and we're really trying to make it palatable for all ages. So that's the goal with that, to maybe, inspire some community amongst different demographics surrounding food allergies.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. And I'm sure it'll be well received on social media and everywhere. And I have to also just ask, being in college, so it's great to hear that you think it is easy. I don't know if easy is the right word, but you're having a good time in college. You know other people who have allergies. It doesn't feel isolating. Do you have any tips for those who might be transitioning to college or who maybe are in college and not feeling as good about it? Anything that sort of worked for you to make yourself feel safe and involved?
Yeah, so on campus visits, pre-COVID when I was here in person, when we got to the dining hall, raised my hand like, hey, I have a nut allergy. How does that work? Because universities are all about, selling you and making sure you feel comfortable. So I was relieved when said that they have a nut-free kitchen. Everything's labeled vegan, nut-free, like dairy, everything, gluten, like everything was very dietary friendly and open. So I would just strongly encourage students making that transition to be vocal, ask about it. If they don't have that in place, that will cause them to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe make a few phone calls and like see what can happen, because even beyond allergies, there's other dietary restrictions. So I feel like it's really important that universities honor that and make sure that all students feel safe. Especially in this time of COVID, I feel like they could definitely make exceptions with making food. Like cross contamination is a big thing. And being cleanly is also a big thing that now everybody's hyper aware to. So I just say, be vocal, and it doesn't hurt to ask. And I feel like in college, everybody's very respectful of, people's different allergies. I know in elementary school, it was like, well, I'm allergic to nuts and I can eat M&Ms. Like if it says may contain, I can eat it too. And there was like that argument of like, who has the worst allergy, da, da, da. But in college, if you say you can't eat something or you can't do this, surround yourself with people who understand that. Because I'd say like there have been plenty of times with friends who want to go out to dinner and they want to do like a Japanese spot that cooks in peanut oil. I'm like, oh, sorry, like I have enough. And they're like, oh yeah, no, like if you're around true friends, they'll understand. So just keep that with you and stand in your truth, and not stress over it. Honestly, that would be my advice.
That's some really good advice. Thank you so much for sharing all those insights. I love hearing how well you're doing, and you're going to be setting such an example for so many people. So tell me, as far as food allergy advocacy goes, you're obviously working on this amazing film and project. Do you see yourself getting involved in food allergy advocacy past this? Do you have any other plans? I mean, you're obviously talking about it every day and advocating for yourself and educating others, but is there anything else you're interested in doing, or just fully focusing on this amazing film right now?
Right now, it's definitely food friendly. That's the forefront of my mind, especially as we're like finishing the animatic and the last pieces are coming together. We're in our like Kickstarter realm where we're trying to find funding and budgeting and make it like the big vision that I have in my head. So that's definitely like my focus. But I am toying with the idea of making it a series, depending on how well received it is. Like I feel like there's a lot of different perspectives and experiences that come with food allergies, beyond elementary school. So I feel like it would be interesting to talk about like dealing with food allergies in a different setting, at a party or in high school, experimenting with live action. But my focus is definitely film, storytelling, accurate representation. I'm all down for like food allergy advocacy, but in the means of like storytelling. So it's definitely an idea that's in the back of my head, but in terms of like actionable, tangible steps I'm doing right now, I've been a little occupied.
Well, you're occupied in an amazing way, and everything that you're doing is advocacy, and it's so impressive. And I just love what a very specific and very cool angle this is that you're working on, and just speaks to, finding your passion and then using your passion towards advocacy in a unique way. So I love it so much, and I can't wait to see. And I love the concept of broadening it and having there be a series or more, examples of living with food allergy. I can see it. I can see it all now. So before we wrap up, I would just love to hear if you have any final thoughts, anything that you would love to share with the audience who is watching, or any final thoughts on getting involved in advocacy if somebody wants to be involved but doesn't know what to do or how to do it. Just any last things you'd like to leave with us, you have the floor.
I would like to say thank you for this opportunity, and having this platform has been enough. I feel like getting the word out and getting people excited about the film is I'm like extremely grateful for the opportunity. I feel like I definitely want the community and opinions and thoughts and just a camaraderie surrounding the project. Our goal is to educate, get it into classrooms, so word of mouth and just having this platform has been amazing. We're also looking for a big partner or someone to help like spearhead this and make this happen and come to life, to and speak to everything that we've hoped that it would be. So again, I just want to thank you for this platform. In terms of inspiration for going forward, I just encourage anyone to take action in your own right. Definitely think to your strengths, and think about what you're most passionate about, and try to weave that in with food allergy awareness and how what you do can complement, you know, a strong problem or something that needs to be solved, because that's where I started challenging myself, is like looking inward and taking something that I like doing for fun and making it have more of a purpose and a bigger meaning outside of myself. So that's definitely what I would encourage others to do, no matter the scale. I feel like every small thing can make a difference, because it started with me just talking to a group full of fifth graders in the fifth grade, just talking about my experience. And now that's like transformed into, you know, being my life's purpose. So yeah.
I love it. That's so well spoken and so well thought out. And it's been my great pleasure to get to speak with you today. I know you mentioned LinkedIn. Is there anywhere online people can find you if they want to follow your journey and your work?
Yeah, so on Instagram, my username is Kianna Nicole. That's Kianna.Nycole. My LinkedIn is also Kianna Dorsey. So that's Kianna Dorsey. And I think those are the only two. So, I mean, I'm on Facebook, but I really don't know how to use it that well. But you're welcome to find me on Facebook if you want.
Facebook's like the old lady of social media, right? That's the first one I joined because I was like forced to at work. And I agree. It's funny. It's funny to see how generationally people are into different things. But thank you for that. So if anybody wants to follow you and check out your work, they can find you there. As you mentioned, FAIR's website is an amazing source for all things food allergy, and that's foodallergy.org. And we are so excited about the Living Teal channel, which currently is housing all of the amazing video content that FAIR's been working on. So that's on YouTube. And if anybody wants to follow along with me, my website is hillarytollcarter.com and on Instagram at hillarytollcarter. I'm also on Facebook, but like you said, I don't use it very much. Instagram, the gram is the place to find me. So now that we have all of that situated so everyone can follow everyone, I just want to say thank you again. This was such a pleasure. You are a shining star. I can't wait to say I knew her when one day when I see you getting, you know, some really big, brilliant award. So thank you for sharing your gifts with me and with the food allergy community. You really have found an amazing way to take action, and I'm really proud I got to meet you. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, likewise.